Have you ever felt it? That whisper in the wind, that tremor beneath your feet. A sense that the grand narrative of our world is hurtling towards an unimaginable climax. We live in a time of questions, of anxieties, of a deep unspoken yearning for answers. For some, those answers lie in ancient texts, in prophecies whispered through millennia. And among them, one stands apart, a vision so vivid, so terrifying, so ultimately hopeful, that it has echoed through history, shaping beliefs, inspiring art, and stirring the very depths of the human soul. Imagine a solitary figure exiled on a desolate island, the relentless waves crashing against the shore, mirroring the turmoil within his own spirit. John, a man who had walked with the divine, now found himself adrift, watching the world from afar, burdened by its sorrows, its injustices. He sought solace, perhaps, a glimpse of purpose in the vast, indifferent ocean. But what he received was not solace, not a gentle whisper, but a thunderclap that tore through the fabric of reality itself. The air grew heavy, charged with an unseen power. A voice, not of man, but like the roar of 1,000 waterfalls, echoed through the very marrow of his bones. "Write what you see." John looked up. The heavens, once a familiar canvas of blue, split open like an ancient scroll unrolling. The sun, that life-giving orb, turned black, its light swallowed by an encroaching darkness. The moon, usually a gentle guide in the night, bled red, a horrifying omen. And there, suspended between the shattered sky and the trembling earth, stood a figure. Not the gentle teacher he remembered, not the humble shepherd. This was something else entirely. Eyes blazed with an inferno, a consuming fire that saw into the deepest corners of existence. His face shone with a blinding, unbearable light, like the sun at its zenith. His feet, glowing with an incandescent judgment, seemed to hover above the ground. In his hand, 7 brilliant stars pulsed with cosmic energy, and behind him, 7 golden lampstands burned with an eternal flame, casting long, dancing shadows across the abyss. The voice resonated again, shaking the very foundations of the world. "I am the first and the last." John, overwhelmed, utterly undone by the sheer, unbridled majesty and terrifying power, collapsed. He fell like a dead man, his spirit unable to bear the weight of such glory. For this was no meek shepherd. This was the returning King of Kings, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, come to claim what was his. And with that revelation, the very fabric of time and destiny began to unravel. Seals, ancient and unbreakable, began to break, each one unleashing a new wave of irreversible change upon the world. The first seal shattered, and a rider emerged on a pristine white horse. A bow in his hand, a crown upon his head. He rode forth to conquer, not with open warfare, but with a deceptive peace, a subtle dominion that spread across the nations. Flags, once symbols of unity, began to rip in fury as old alliances crumbled and new insidious powers rose to control the hearts of men. Then the second seal broke. A crimson horse, blood red, burst onto the scene. From its rider, a great sword was given, and peace was stripped from the earth. War erupted. Not just between nations, but within them. Brother turned against brother, neighbor against neighbor, as the world descended into a maelstrom of violence, fueled by ancient hatreds and fresh grievances. The third seal, a black horse, its rider holding a pair of scales. Famine, a silent, creeping horror, began its relentless march. The price of bread, once a staple, soared, costing a day's wage for a mere pittance. Children's bellies ached, their cries unheard amidst the growing desperation. The scales of justice were tipped, and the weight of hunger pressed down on the innocent. Finally, the fourth seal, a pale horse, its colour the sickly green of decay, and upon it rode Death himself, followed closely by Hell. A quarter of the Earth's population fell, not in grand battles, but in silent, agonizing suffering. Pestilence, starvation, and the sword claimed countless lives, leaving behind a landscape of desolation and despair. Beneath the very altar of heaven, The souls of those who had been slain for their faith cried out, their voices a collective lament. How long, O Lord, holy and true, until you judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth? Their plea hung heavy in the air, a desperate echo of humanity's longing for justice. Stars, once fixed points of light, began to plummet from the sky, fiery tears falling onto a dying world. Kings, once mighty and proud, now hid in caves, their crowns worthless, their power meaningless. They begged the very rocks to fall on them, to crush them, to offer escape from the terrifying wrath of the Lamb, whose patience had finally run its course. The silence that followed was not peace, but a dreadful pause before the next wave of judgment. Then the trumpets blasted, each note a harbinger of further devastation. The first trumpet, hail, fire and blood rained down, devouring a third of the earth, scorching its green fields, turning its vibrant forests into ash. The second, a burning mountain, vast and terrible, crashed into the sea, turning a third of the ocean into blood, killing its creatures, destroying its ships. The third, a star bitter as gall named Wormwood, fell from the sky, poisoning the rivers, turning fresh water into a deadly draught. And as if the world hadn't suffered enough, the light itself began to fade. A third of the sun, a third of the moon, a third of the stars were stripped away, plunging the world into a perpetual twilight, a chilling gloom. Mid-air, an eagle shrieked, its cry a mournful, desperate warning that pierced the dimming sky. Woe! Woe! Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, because of the remaining blasts of the trumpet of the three angels who are about to sound. And the woes began. Locusts, not insects but monstrous armoured beasts, swarmed from the abyss. Their faces were like men, their hair like women, their teeth like lions, and their tails like scorpions, with power to torment for 5 months those who did not bear the seal of God. A torment so agonizing, men sought death but could not find it. Then, demonic horsemen, 200 million strong, a terrifying, unstoppable army, unleashed slaughter upon the remaining third of mankind. Yet, even after such unimaginable suffering, mankind refused to repent, refused to turn from their idols, their murders, their sorceries, their sexual immoralities, or their thefts. Their hearts remained hardened, their defiance absolute. A profound, unsettling silence descended upon heaven itself for half an hour. A moment of cosmic breath-holding, a pause before the final cataclysmic acts. Then, a new horror emerged. A great red dragon, 7 heads crowned, 10 horns sharp, its tail sweeping a third of the stars from the sky. It chased a woman clothed with the sun, about to give birth. War erupted in heaven, not of flesh and blood, but of spiritual might. Michael, the archangel, and his angels fought against the dragon and his angels. And the dragon, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world, was cast down to the earth, and his angels with him. Enraged by his defeat, knowing his time was short, he empowered 2 beasts. One rose from the sea, a terrifying political power, forming one world government, demanding worship. The other, a false prophet, rose from the earth, performing signs and wonders, deceiving humanity, forcing them to receive one mark, 666, without which none could buy or sell. The choice was stark: survival or soul. The final judgments, the 7 golden bowls, were poured out, each one bringing a new agonizing plague. Foul and loathsome sores festered on those who bore the mark of the beast. The seas and rivers, already tainted, turned to solid blood, every living thing within them dying. The sun, once a source of warmth, now scorched humanity with tons of fire, burning them with intense heat. Darkness, thick and suffocating, gripped the thrones of the beast's kingdom, plunging them into despair. Demon kings, summoned from the depths, marched across a dried Euphrates river, gathering their forces for the ultimate confrontation at Armageddon, the final battleground. The world groaned, shattered, broken. Then a voice from the throne, clear and resounding, "It is done." And with that declaration, the greatest earthquake the world had ever known ripped through the planet. Mountains crumbled, islands vanished beneath the waves. The very geography of the earth was remade in an instant. And from the heavens, hailstones, each weighing a talent, over 100 pounds, crashed down, pulverizing what little remained, a final crushing blow. But just when all seemed lost, when despair threatened to consume the last flicker of hope, a new light pierced the shattered sky. From above, a white horse descended. Not the deceptive rider of the first seal, but one of pure, unadulterated righteousness. Upon it rides one called Faithful and True. His eyes a flame of fire, his head adorned with many crowns. His robe not stained with his own blood, but dripping with the blood of his enemies, a testament to his victory. From his mouth, not words, but a sharp, two-edged sword flashed, ready to strike down the nations. The armies of heaven followed him, arrayed in robes of white, pure and gleaming, a celestial host ready to execute divine justice. He rode with an unstoppable force, a righteous fury. He seized the beast and the false prophet, those architects of deception and tyranny. There was no trial, no negotiation, only swift, absolute judgment. They were cast alive into a lake of fire, burning with sulfur. Their reign of terror ended forever. Satan, the ancient serpent, the deceiver, was bound with a great chain and cast into the abyss for 1,000 years. His influence removed, his malice silenced. For a millennium, peace reigned. But at the end of that time, he was released for a short season, to rebel once more, to gather those who would still defy the king. And then, his final eternal defeat, he was thrown into the fiery lake forever, joining the beast and the false prophet, his power utterly broken, his evil extinguished for all eternity. Then, the ultimate moment of reckoning. The great white throne appears, vast and luminous, before which heaven and earth fled away. The dead, both great and small, stood before God. Books are opened, the book of life, and other books containing the record of every deed, every thought, every choice. Each was judged by their works, according to what they had done. And those not found written in the book of life were also cast into the lake of fire, a final separation. A just consequence for lives lived in defiance of truth and love, and then a profound, breathtaking transformation. The old order passed away, a new heaven, a new earth, not a mere restoration, but a complete renewal, a perfect creation. The holy city, the new Jerusalem, descended from God out of heaven, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. Its light was like a most precious jewel, clear as crystal, its streets of gold, its gates of pearl, its foundations adorned with every precious stone. And in this city there was no more death, no more tears, no more sorrow, no more crying, no more pain, for the former things had passed away. God himself dwelt among his people, wiping every tear from their eyes. And from the throne a voice, filled with infinite love and power, declared, "Behold, I make all things new." This is the story not just of an end, but of a beginning, a narrative that speaks to our deepest fears and our most profound hopes. It's a reminder that even in the darkest hours, there is a promise of ultimate justice, of profound renewal, of a world where every wrong is made right and every tear is wiped away. It's a vision that calls us to consider our place in this grand unfolding, to seek the light, and to hold on to the unwavering hope that one day all things truly will be made new.